First things first, let's go ahead and make a target sculpt. I'm going to put on a cylinder and go into the grid snap, and I will stamp it down. Oops. First I'm going to make this a little smaller, and we may want to make this bigger, but that's okay, we can leave it for now. So we'll stamp it in place, and then within this, let's go ahead and turn off the floor, and we're going to paint it. So we'll get out the spray paint tool, and we will make sure to surface snap. Now let's pick the color. We want like a red. Okay, and so we'll paint the whole thing red, and that should paint the entire object, which it did not, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. I'm going to decrease the grid size by holding L1 and pressing down on the D-pad. There we go. Okay, now let's get the spray paint back out, and we'll pick the white color. And so we'll just shrink that down like this. Now we'll shrink it down again. We'll switch back to red. And we'll shrink it down, and we'll switch back to white. And then I'll just make the last one black. There we go. There's our target. The only thing we need to do now is let's go in here. We'll change the audio type to wood. And let's give it a label. We'll label it target. And that's all we need for this. And there's our target sculpture done. You can see this is very similar to the one I already made. This is the one that I already had. The painting wasn't done very well on this, but I'll just be using this one. Let's see, target, there we are. Okay, and let's give it a base to stand on. So I will bring the target onto this base, and there we go. So again, this target has nothing on it yet. It's just a sculpture. So if we were to shoot at it, we would see the bullets would, well, maybe they're going too fast and so they're going through, but you can see that the bullets just kind of stay there, and because there's no gravity, they kind of look like they're in space, which is neat. So let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to turn this off real quick. There we go. Alright, so obviously the bullets are hitting this target, and we want the bullets to go away, right? So inside the target, remember we've labeled this target, we can do a couple things. I think one thing we want to do is we want the target to have some sort of indicator of health. I've gone ahead and surface snapped a microchip into here, and let's put a health manager on here. So it'll have 100 health, and we can go ahead and display the health using the current health output. Put that into this number displayer, and we'll make sure to put this in scene, and we'll make it face the camera. And so we can bring this up. Let's go ahead and adjust these properties. We'll get rid of the text box and the border. I'll leave the shadow on, and I'll change this to white. And there we go. There we go. Okay, so now we have the health being displayed above the microchip, or above the target. And so we'll leave that alone for now. And back in the bullet, let's go ahead and we'll take this emitter off real quick, and we'll get out a microchip, and we'll stamp one onto the bullet, and there we go. Okay, so we've surface snapped this microchip onto the bullet, and so we're going to want to do a couple things. The bullet itself, we're going to need to give it a label, so we'll label it missile. And we will get out a health modifier. And so this health modifier will only affect the target label. And so when it hits a target label, we'll subtract some health. Let's just say 10. We can leave it on the impact type, and we can leave it on the per hit. So that means that when the bullet hits it, it only does 10 damage once. It doesn't do it continuously. And we can use impact. As we saw before, if you're too close and the bullet's going too fast, it may have something to do with how small it is. It kind of goes through it. So you may want to use a zone. And if you were to use a zone, you'd want to make this zone a lot smaller and just like around the bullet. But for now, we'll just leave it on impact and see how it works. And now this has an output called currently modifying. And so if that's ever the case, meaning we've hit the target, then we can use a destroyer to destroy the bullet itself. Okay? And so now back in the emitter, we can grab this whole object here. There we go. So now it's going to use the bullet. And so first of all, we can see that when we shoot at the target, it loses some health. That's pretty cool. And so within here, let's go ahead and get a sound to play. Inside the hits and near misses, there was a bullet into dirt sound. So we'll just use that. And we will plug the currently losing health sound or output into that sound. And we'll make sure that it's on play once. And there's no 3D panning. Cool. So now when we shoot at the target, we can see that the target plays a sound. And you can see sometimes the bullet goes through, right? Let's go ahead and see if the zone works any better on that. And so what the zone will do is it'll make it so that it affects the thing when the zone comes within range. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Let's make it pretty small, and now we'll give that a shot and see if that works any better. Yeah, maybe not. There we go. See, the microchip went away, meaning the bullet got destroyed. So the health modifier thought that it was modifying something, and I think I know what the issue is. Inside the health manager, there's a cooldown time. We want to make sure we set that to 0 seconds. Let's see, we'll get close. Okay, cool. So that works great. And let's see if we can switch it back to impact type and if that has any issues. Let's find that out. Cool. So now we can see that when we shoot the bullet at the target, it plays a sound and it loses health all the way to 0. So we want this to charge back up and come back up to 100. There's an input here called reset health. So if we ever run out, we could just reset it like this. But that's kind of boring and seems a little, I don't know, too basic. So what I did was I made a little sound bite here. And this is a, just plays this sound, which kind of sounds like it's charging back up. And here I have 2 keyframes. They're currently not affecting anything. So in this keyframe, this last one here, I'm going to bring the current health all the way to 100. And so there's a smoothing here. This is an empty keyframe. And so there's a linear smooth. So when we play, it'll go, once it hits this point, it'll bring the health back up to 100. And let's go ahead and when we're out of health, we will power this up. And let's also make sure that this last keyframe has keep changes on. Okay. So now when the target runs out of health, it can play the sound and recharge. I think that looks nice. Okay, so that's it for this part. This is how we made the gun and the target. In the next one, we'll go ahead and implement some new features into our gun, like reloading and infinite ammo and things like that. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in seeing the next part, stick around. Make sure to subscribe because that'll be coming out very soon.